This is Street Level America. I'm Dave Adams, and one of the stories that we're following on an ongoing basis is what's going on in elections in America. And specifically, it's just amazing to me that ground zero in the last two general elections has been Georgia. And so we're watching what's going on in the Republican Party in Georgia. We're watching what's going on in the FBI investigation into Fulton County, Georgia. We're waiting, like everybody else, for the other shoe to fall to see what happens. With us online once again is David Cross, and he ran for the head of the chairman of the Republican Party in Georgia. David Cross, welcome back to Street Level America.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it.
Hey, before we went on here, you were telling me that you're starting to get a lot of inquiries from national news media, Reuters and such, wondering about what your take is about the investigation into the Fulton County. Uh, the FBI has shown up and they're investigating whether or not there were irregularities in the tabulation.
Yeah, so I'm getting lots of calls. I mean, I got what it's MS Now, so that's where the Rachel Maddow show is and all that kind of thing. And yes, I recognize that that's enemy territory, but I told them I would only do an interview with them if they did not call me an election conspiracy theorist, number one, and number two, if they didn't butcher my interview because I would be recording it. So, they said they would agree to that. Hopefully, they're going to be setting something up here pretty soon. I did an interview yesterday with the Wall Street Journal and did a pre-interview today with Reuters and these people they're trying to figure out like what's going on, what's the end game, what do you hope to get out of it? And so I'm answering their questions. And it's been really interesting to to go through these things because a lot of times when you're doing an interview like this, they might last like 5 minutes.
Mhm.
All these telephone calls I've had lately have been like 30 minutes long.
Are they asking targeted questions trying to either get at Trump or support the establishment in the Georgia Republican Party? Or do you feel that they're actually journalists that are really trying to dig to find a story? Are they asking probing questions and trying to find out what's going on?
So far, every conversation I've had has been a sincere conversation. But as my friend Brian Pritchard has warned me, he said they all sound like that, and he said they're all going to try to bait you in and try to get you to say what they want you to say. But so far, I mean, I've been fairly impressed with the conversations that we've had.
What are you hearing from Fulton County, Georgia, as you've got your ear to you're closer to that than I am. Uh, what are you hearing in the wind?
Fulton County's like, no, give us the ballots back, please give us the ballots back. Um, one of the things I told one of the reporters, or I've told all the reporters, is that I expect that the FBI is going to say, "Oh my gosh, we have a bunch of documents missing," and Fulton County is going to come back and go, "But we gave you all the documents," and the FBI is going to be like, "No, you didn't." They're going to be pointing the finger at each other, and I think we're probably going to have that's going to be the next story that's going to happen here. I don't know if anything's going to come of it, but one of the things I do expect that's going to come out of this is, and this is one of the things I've told these reporters, is in Georgia, the machines that count your vote here in Georgia have got the capability to determine if the piece of paper, when it goes through, when the ballot goes through the machine, it has the capability to determine is that valid ballot stock. It has that capability, but that capability is turned off in Georgia. And so that's, and I keep sharing with them the fact that you could print out, one ballot, like you could print out your ballot. And if you really like everything that's on there, you could go to the photocopier, make 100, 200, 1,000 copies of it, and the scanners won't stop it.
Now, you say that's been turned off in Georgia. How do you know that?
We've seen that detection in the slog files, and we also know for a fact that is the case because we had when we were looking through some of the ballot images in the last couple of years, we found a ballot that had been uh, photocopied onto college rule paper, and the machine accepted it. So it's just there's stupid things like that are happening that shouldn't happen in Georgia.
What are you hearing on Main Street in Georgia, in Duluth or wherever? What is the talk of the town? What are people saying? Of course, there's this, everybody's waiting for the FBI investigation in Fulton County, Georgia. But what's the buzz? What's the buzz on the street?
The buzz that I'm hearing on the street is that a lot of people are they're I think they're excited about the fact that something is finally happening. We've been fighting this battle for 5 years. There's people in the office building here that know me. They know the journey that I've been on for the last 5 years. I've been in this building for 10 years. And my friends around here, they're just excited that they're saying, "Holy cow, you're not crazy. They're actually doing something about all the things that you talked about." So I think that the average person out there is waking up. A few years ago, not as many people paying attention. Today, more and more people are really paying attention to the news and what they're hearing about Fulton County.
Another story developing that we're following in Georgia is after the Dalton Convention, in which you ran for chairmanship of the party, and there was a lot of people upset, concerned that the mics were turned off, the mics were guarded. Uh, uh, the I call them street level people, but the grassroots people were not allowed to have input talking about their candidates. It was like it was a I've heard the term rigged convention over
Right.
and over and over again. It's not just from you, it's from a lot of people that I've talked to, specifically in the Gainesville area. So there's a lot of people that feel disenfranchised by the Republican Party, at least the people that I've talked to, and they're wondering what's next. There are some people that say, screw it, I'm not a Republican, I don't know what to do, and they just walk out of the room. But I
I
think there's
think
a lot of people that really want to make a difference. And you
Yeah.
talked in our earlier interview about some of your several point plan about what to do if you had been chairman of the Republican Party, elected as such. And you said that Operation Echo is one thing that has started. Define that for us. Where are we there?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Operation Echo because one of the things that I wanted to do if I became chairman was to create a citizens advocacy group, or a citizens lobbyist group that would go down and advocate for the legislation that's important to us. And Operation Echo, that's exactly what's happening there. I think they're up to 100 or more people right now that are going down, making the case down at the Capitol. They're not wearing T-shirts, they're not wearing caps or anything like that. They're not standing out as part of an organized group. They're literally going in as John and Joan Q. Public walking in, talking to the legislators and talking about what's important to them. I think that's critically important. It's something that has to be done if we're going to get any kind of traction with the legislation that's important to us.
And for people that have been disenfranchised, think that the Republican Party is just a uh, Josh McCoon Incorporated. Uh, One of the things that just amazed me as I was talking to people about Georgia politics is they likened it to mob rule in Chicago, where it's just like, well, the mob's in charge and we're just trying to fight the mob. Um, Good old boy politics is
Alive and
very
well.
intrinsic and embedded in Georgia politics. And the guy on the street just trying to, run for office and make a difference can't fight what's called the establishment. And I view this Operation Echo as two things. Number one, we should be doing this anyway, but this thing in the Dalton Convention might be, and just hear me out, might be a blessing in disguise because it is really, I think, shook street level Georgians. Hey, we've got to get involved in this party, or we'll never get anything done. So
Right.
we would recommend to people that have just checked out and said, screw this, I'm not going to, I'm just going to go watch the game. We can't do that because I strongly believe that Main Street people need to have a say in their Republican Party. Uh, as a reporter, and as I talk to person after person after person, especially participants in the convention, uh, they were ticked, really ticked. And I got a little angry when just hearing person after it wasn't just personalities. It wasn't just this one person having an axe to grind. It was a lot of people that felt the same way. And that really concerns me. So people that really want to have a way to see if they can get control of the Republican Party or have their voice heard should get involved in things like Operation Echo. Um, and you're seeing that more and more people are getting involved in it.
Yeah, quite a few. In fact, the interest has been growing exponentially lately. I'm really excited about it. And it's one of the best ways that you can spend your time. And listen, I recognize that time is short.
Mm-hmm.
We went through a period of time in the 70s and 80s where, Inflation was running rampant. We had moms and dads that were both working, and civic involvement dropped off, and kids didn't see that modeled in their parents. We're having to come full circle to that right now. And the most effective way that I think that you can be involved is to is to is to take a little bit of time, go down to the Capitol, see your legislators, tell them what's important to you. You might only get 5 minutes with them, right? But that 5 minutes is critical because your voice, they understand that your voice gets amplified by 1,000 because not everybody can come down there. Do that, participate in your county party. I still strongly urge people, as much as I detest what's going on with the Georgia Republican Party, you still need to be active in your own backyard because that is the official voice and organ of the party. And even if you go to these meetings and you get irritated by, some rhino that's up there that's bossing people around, stick it outlast them, figure out a way to outsmart them, figure out a way to outvote them. Because in the grand scheme of things, if you were to look at a pie chart, okay,
Mhm.
80% of the people that are out there, 80% of Republicans are what I call America First, MAGA Republicans. They want something better for their family, and they're about God and country. 20%, a very small sliver, is the entrenched rhinos, the people that value title, position, and power. That 20% will eventually have to bend the knee to the 80% because we are the votes, we are the power, we are the boots on the ground that can actually get things done. And I think we're going to start to see a tip in the balance of power.
Is Operation Echo being organized by a specific organization, or do you want it to be just kind of this grassroots effort that just kind of grows exponentially just on its own? Just
It is, listen, it is a grassroots effort that was put together by a lady who said that, 5 or 6 years ago, she didn't pay attention. She wasn't involved civically. And then she finally woke up and she saw what was happening with the way that our elections are working. And she said, I need to do something to be involved. Literally went from no involvement to hyper involvement. And she's really been just a fabulous blessing, for organizing people.
so, what would you recommend to people? How do they start an Operation Echo? What do they do?
I don't think you have to start an Operation Echo. I think you just got to get involved in the one that we have that's going right now. Participate. There are different captains that are assigned to different counties. I'm the Gwinnett County captain. You can reach out to me. I think you can put my contact information on the screen there. You reach out to me by email. Give me a telephone call. I'll make sure that you get connected if you're in Gwinnett County. If you're not, then I'll get you connected with the main organizer. I don't want to be putting names out there because there are some people out there that want to try and hurt the organization, and we are vetting people before they get involved. So if you do reach out to me, if I don't know you, I'm going to have to figure out like what's the connection, how can I trust you, and that kind of thing, because we don't need to have moles, working against us in this operation.
Can you put your name or email address now on this recording?
Absolutely.
Go ahead.
So it's the easiest way to reach me is dcross108 at protonmail.com, or you can hit me on my cell phone at 678-925-6983.
So, for those of us who just like to watch the dynamics and the news of the politics play out, especially in Georgia right now, there's a lot of things at play, and the future of the country is in balance. It's going to be interesting in Georgia on several fronts. What happens with Operation Echo? What happens with the Georgia Republican Party? Do the grassroots, are they successful in regaining control of their party? What happens as we get into the midterms? Do we start seeing like some of the liberal senators and representatives of Georgia be replaced by more conservative grassroots people? And just what happens on the nation and specifically in Georgia. And of course, what happens in the FBI investigation. Because if they do find some things and they find hard evidence of it, that's going to be a bomb that'll go off, and that I think will have interesting repercussions.
I think it will. It's gonna finally lend, legitimacy and credibility to all of the work and effort that we put into this in the last 5 years. But above and beyond what's going on with the FBI investigation into Fulton County, I'm also looking at the Epstein files. I mean, what is it, over 3 million
Mhm.
pages or pages of documents have been released in that file. And I think it was Pam Bondi, a couple days ago that said, "Well, good grief, if we arrest everybody who's named in there, then the whole system's going to fall apart." And I think there's a lot of folks that are out there that are just saying, you know what? There's human trafficking going on. There's whatever else, whatever horrible things that are happening with torture and things like that. And you know what? If that's what happens, then let it burn. It is time to clean house in our country, in our state, and I would not be surprised if we see some of some of the names that are being named in the Epstein files, those tentacles reaching all the way into Georgia. I would not be surprised if that happens.
We're already seeing some fallout. I think it was Lehman Brothers. There was a female attorney there that I just read the new story before we came on here that has resigned because she was linked time and time again in the Epstein documents that have come out. So I think we're going to see some high rollers
Yeah,
here.
I think she was one of the lead counsel for Goldman
Correct.
Sachs. And
Yeah.
when I was at dinner a little while ago, I looked up her name in the Epstein files, and her name was referenced 9,354 times. So, she's saying, "Oh, I didn't know anything was going on with him," and maybe she didn't. But good grief, if your name's in there 9,300 and some odd times, it just looks really bad, and I think that's the reason why she resigned.
Where there's smoke, there's fire, and there's frequent flyer miles on the Epstein Airlines. It's not a good place you want to be right now if you
Correct.
want to have a political future or any kind of future in public life in America. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I know you're rushed for time, and like me, you want to get a few hours sleep tonight. So, any closing thoughts?
The closing thought right now is stay active, stay involved, participate. The the our our legislature is only in session for I think we're going to hit the midpoint here, like I want to say, like, what is it, like the end of February or so. So it's critically important that you get involved, even if you can only go down for one day. That one day, sacrificing some of your time to go down and talk to your legislators, your state senator, your state house representative. let them know let them know that getting rid of these machines and doing manual hand counts of the ballots is critical to the sovereignty of our votes. And they're going to hate you for it, and they're going to be like, "Oh, it's going to take too long to count the ballots." But you know what? They hand count ballots in Tokyo, Japan. And if they can do it there, we can do it in Georgia. It's just a logistics issue. It's all about planning.
This is Georgia. This is America. This is your state. This is your nation. So we need to get involved. If we lose Georgia, if we lose the nation, it's our fault because we didn't get involved. David Cross will keep in touch, and thank you for being with us tonight on Street Level America.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate it.
This is Street Level America. I'm Dave Adams. Continue to watch this space and others. We're going to be following this story, and we'll have information as it becomes available. I'm Dave Adams. This is Street Level America. Americans and Georgians, let's roll.